Have you ever felt like you're being swept up in the whirlwind of life, losing control and losing yourself? It's as if the demands of modern living, work, relationships, and even your own thoughts are pulling you in so many directions that you can hardly keep up. We live in a time where everything moves at a rapid pace, and the pressure to keep up can feel overwhelming. Perhaps you find yourself constantly chasing deadlines, trying to meet the expectations of others, and worrying about how you're perceived on social media. The weight of these pressures can erode your inner strength, leaving you exhausted, anxious, and disconnected from who you truly are. The noise of the world can drown out the voice of your own soul, and in this chaos, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters. But what if there was a way to regain control, to find a sense of peace amidst the storm? What if you could build a fortress of inner strength that allows you to navigate life's challenges with grace and resilience? The answer lies in an ancient philosophy that has guided countless individuals through the trials of life for over 2 millennia: Stoicism. Stoicism is more than just a set of ideas. It's a way of life that teaches us how to face adversity, control our emotions, and live with purpose. Rooted in the teachings of philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, Stoicism offers timeless wisdom that can help you reclaim your inner strength and transform your life. In this video, we will explore 8 common habits that silently weaken your resolve and learn how to overcome them using the principles of Stoicism. From procrastination to seeking external validation, from avoiding challenges to being haunted by the past, together we will face and conquer these obstacles. By the end of this journey, you will have the tools to build a life of resilience, meaning, and true happiness. So let's begin this journey together. Let's discover how Stoicism can be the light that guides you through the darkness, helping you to overcome your weaknesses and live a life of strength and fulfillment. The first habit is procrastination. Procrastination is something we've all struggled with at some point in our lives. It's the act of delaying or postponing tasks, even when we know that doing so will only lead to stress and missed opportunities. We tell ourselves that we'll start tomorrow, we just need a little more time to prepare, but tomorrow turns into the next day, and then the next. Before we know it, days, weeks, or even months have passed, and we're still no closer to completing the task at hand. Why do we procrastinate? For many, it's rooted in fear. Fear of failure, fear of not being perfect, fear of the unknown. Task seems daunting, so we put it off, convincing ourselves that we're not ready, but we'll do it later when we're in a better state of mind. The truth is, this delay only serves to heighten our anxiety. The more we procrastinate, the more the task looms over us, growing larger and more intimidating with each passing day. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, understood the dangers of procrastination. He taught that the only time we truly have control over is the present moment. Past is gone and the future is uncertain. All we have is now. By putting off tasks, we are essentially giving up our power, allowing time to slip through our fingers like sand in an hourglass. Stoicism teaches us to seize the day, carpe diem. This doesn't mean recklessly chasing after every fleeting desire, but rather, it means taking deliberate action in the present, making the most of the time we have. When faced with a daunting task, instead of succumbing to procrastination, we should break the task into smaller manageable steps, set clear, achievable goals for each day, and focus on completing them one at a time. It's important to recognize that procrastination often stems from our fixation on the outcome rather than the process. We worry about how the task will turn out, whether we'll succeed or fail, and this anxiety paralyzes us. Stoicism teaches us to shift our focus away from the outcome and instead concentrate on the process. By immersing ourselves in the task at hand, we can let go of our fears and anxieties about the future. Another key aspect of overcoming procrastination is embracing discomfort. Many of us procrastinate because we want to avoid the discomfort that comes with starting a difficult task. But Stoicism teaches that growth comes from facing discomfort head-on. It is in these moments of challenge that we develop the strength and resilience needed to tackle larger tasks in the future. Remember that time is a finite resource. Every day that you delay is a day lost forever. a day that could have been spent moving closer to your goals. Epictetus reminds us that the key to overcoming procrastination is to focus on what is within our control and to let go of what is not. By taking action in the present, by committing to the process rather than the outcome, we can break free from the chains of procrastination and reclaim our time and our power. So the next time you find yourself tempted to put off a task, remember the words of Epictetus. Only the present is within your control. Take a deep breath, break the task into small steps, and take the first step today. Don't let procrastination hold you back from achieving your full potential. The second habit is negative self-talk. Have you ever found yourself caught in a loop of negative self-talk? Perhaps you've made a mistake at work, and you can't stop berating yourself for it. You replay the event over and over in your mind, telling yourself that you're not good enough, that you'll never succeed, that you're a failure. These thoughts can be relentless, chipping away at your self-esteem and confidence. Negative self-talk is one of the most destructive habits we can develop. It's a habit that weakens us from within, eroding our belief in ourselves and our ability to achieve our goals. But where does this habit come from? Often, it's rooted in our past experiences. Perhaps we've been criticized by others, or maybe we've internalized societal standards that make us feel like we're not enough. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most renowned Stoic philosophers, understood the power of our thoughts. He said, "Our life is what our thoughts make it." What we think about ourselves, the narrative we create in our minds, has a profound impact on our reality. If we constantly tell ourselves that we're not good enough, or failures, then we start to believe it. And once we believe it, it becomes our reality. But the beauty of Stoicism is that it teaches us we have the power to change this narrative. We are not at the mercy of our thoughts. We can choose which thoughts to focus on and which to let go of. Stoicism encourages us to observe our thoughts without judgment, to notice when self-criticism or self-doubt creeps in, and to challenge these thoughts with rationality. When you catch yourself engaging in negative self-talk, ask yourself, are these thoughts based on evidence, or are they simply products of fear and insecurity? Are you being fair to yourself, or are you holding yourself to an impossible standard? By questioning the validity of these thoughts, you can begin to dismantle them and replace them with more positive, constructive. Stoicism also encourages us to practice self-compassion. Often we are our own harshest critics, treating ourselves in ways we would never treat a friend. Imagine if a close friend came to you, feeling down about a mistake they made. Would you berate them and tell them they're worthless? Of course not. You would offer them kindness and support, reminding them that everyone makes mistakes and that they can learn and grow from this experience. So why not extend that same kindness to yourself? When you make a mistake, instead of engaging in negative self-talk, focus on what you can learn from it. Ask yourself how you can improve, and then take steps to do so. By treating yourself with the same compassion and understanding that you would offer to a friend, you can begin to rebuild your self-esteem and confidence. Marcus Aurelius also emphasized the importance of maintaining a positive and rational mindset. He believed that our perception of the world is shaped by our thoughts, and therefore, we must strive, cultivate thoughts that are positive and grounded in reality. This doesn't mean ignoring the challenges or difficulties we face, but rather, it means approaching them with a mindset that is constructive and solution-focused. By replacing negative self-talk with Stoic principles of rationality and self-compassion, you'll discover an inner strength and resilience that will empower you to face life's challenges with confidence and grace. Remember, your thoughts have the power to shape your reality. But choose thoughts that uplift you, that encourage you to grow, and that reflect the best version of yourself. Third habit is avoiding challenges. It's natural to seek comfort. After all, comfort feels safe, familiar, and easy. But there's a downside to comfort. When we become too comfortable, we stop growing. We avoid challenges because they're uncomfortable, they're difficult, and they push us out of our safe zones. But in doing so, we limit our potential and miss out on opportunities for growth and self-discovery. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, understood the importance of facing challenges. He said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Fear of what might happen, the fear of failure, the fear of discomfort, these fears often cause us more suffering than the challenge itself. When we avoid challenges, we allow these fears to control us, and in doing so, we rob ourselves of the chance to grow stronger. But why do we avoid challenges? For many, it's rooted in the fear of failure. We worry that if we take on a challenge and fail, it will confirm our worst fears about ourselves. We're not good enough, that we're incapable. So we stay in our comfort zones, where we feel safe, but where we also stagnate. The problem with this is that it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. By avoiding challenges, we never give ourselves the chance to succeed, prove to ourselves that we are capable. Stoicism teaches us to view challenges not as threats, but as opportunities. Every challenge we face is a chance to grow, to learn, and to become stronger. When we step out of our comfort zones and take on a challenge, we stretch ourselves, we push our limits, and we discover new capabilities within ourselves. This is where true growth happens, outside of the comfort zone. But facing challenges isn't just about personal growth. It's also about developing virtues. Stoicism teaches that by voluntarily facing difficult situations, we develop patience, enhance our morality, and gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. When we embrace challenges, we build resilience, we cultivate courage, and we develop the perseverance needed to navigate life's difficulties. It's important to remember that facing challenges doesn't mean seeking out unnecessary suffering. Stoicism doesn't advocate for intentionally causing ourselves pain. Instead, it encourages us to face the challenges that naturally arise in life, the calm and rational mind. It's about changing our perspective and understanding that discomfort is a necessary part of life that can lead to growth and self-improvement. So how can we start embracing challenges rather than avoiding them? One way is to reframe our mindset. Instead of viewing challenges as something to be feared, we can view them as opportunities to grow and learn. We can remind ourselves that every challenge we face is an opportunity to develop virtues like courage, patience, and resilience. Another way to embrace challenges is to take small, manageable steps. Instead of jumping into a challenge headfirst, break it down into smaller steps. Focus on tackling one step at a time and gradually build your confidence and strength. By taking small steps, you can build momentum and eventually conquer even the most daunting challenges. Finally, it's important to practice self-compassion when facing challenges. Understand that it's okay to feel afraid or uncertain. It's okay to struggle. What's important is that you don't let these feelings stop you from moving forward. Embrace the discomfort, lean into the challenge, and trust that you have the strength and resilience to overcome it. Seneca reminds us that we often suffer more in our minds than in reality. The fear of a challenge is often worse than the challenge itself. By embracing challenges, we can break free from the limitations of our comfort zones, discover our true potential, and build a life of strength, purpose, and resilience. The fourth habit is pursuing excessive materialism. In today's world, it's easy to get caught up in the pursuit of material wealth. We're constantly bombarded with messages that tell us that happiness lies in having more money, more possessions, more status. But is this really true? Can material wealth truly bring us lasting happiness? Seneca, a Stoic philosopher, believed that the pursuit of excessive materialism was a trap. He said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." According to Stoicism, the more we chase after material possessions, the more we become enslaved by our desires. We become trapped in a never-ending cycle of wanting more, never satisfied with what we have. The problem with materialism is that it places our happiness outside of ourselves. We start to believe that we need certain things, a bigger house, a nicer car, the latest gadgets, in order to be happy. But the truth is, these things can never bring us true fulfillment. They may provide temporary pleasure, but this pleasure is fleeting. Soon, we find ourselves wanting more and the cycle continues. Stoicism teaches us that true happiness comes from within, from our inner values and virtues. It comes from being content with what we have, from cultivating gratitude, and from living a life of purpose and meaning. When we focus on material possessions, we lose sight of what really matters: our relationships, our values, our contributions to society. One of the dangers of excessive materialism is that it leads to a constant state of dissatisfaction. No matter how much we have, there's always something more to want. We compare ourselves to others, always striving to keep up with those who seem to have more. This comparison breeds envy, jealousy, and a sense of inadequacy. We start to measure our worth by what we own rather than who we are. But Stoicism offers a way out of this cycle. It teaches us to focus on what is truly valuable: our character, our relationships, our contributions to the world. It encourages us to practice detachment from material possessions, understanding that they are impermanent and can never bring us lasting happiness. Detachment doesn't mean giving up all material possessions or living in poverty. It means changing our relationship with the things we own. It means recognizing that material goods are tools that can enhance our lives, but they are not the source of our happiness or self-worth. By practicing detachment, we free ourselves from the grip of consumerism and find contentment in what we have. Gratitude is another important aspect of overcoming materialism. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what really matters and to be grateful for what we have. By cultivating gratitude, we can shift our perspective from one of lack to one of abundance. We start to appreciate the simple pleasures in life: the beauty of nature, the love of our family and friends, the satisfaction of a job well done. Seneca also reminds us that the pursuit of excessive materialism can lead to anxiety and insecurity. We start to fear losing what we have, or we constantly compare ourselves to those who seem to have more. This attachment to material possessions prevents us from living in peace and tranquility, trapping us in a cycle of jealousy and fear. Stoicism teaches us to exercise detachment in order to break free from this habit. This does not mean that we should give up all material belongings. Rather, we ought to cultivate a positive rapport with them. Realize that things are not the source of pleasure or approval, but instruments that may be used to enhance our lives and the lives of others. Finally, by escaping the grip of consumerism, we can embrace minimalism, simplifying our lives and letting go of pointless distractions. When we align our behavior with Stoic ideals, we can concentrate on cultivating virtues, creating deep relationships with others, and making positive contributions to society. This mental adjustment enables us to live a Stoic life and experience true satisfaction. So the next time you find yourself caught up in the pursuit of material wealth, take a step back and ask yourself, what am I really seeking? Is it happiness, fulfillment, or a sense of worth? And is this something that material possessions can truly provide? By focusing on what is truly valuable and practicing detachment, you can break free from the cycle of materialism and find true happiness in the growth of virtues and a Stoic life. Fifth habit is seeking external validation. In today's world, it's easy to get caught up in seeking external validation. We live in a society where social media and public opinion have a significant impact on our self-esteem. We often measure our worth by the number of likes, comments, and followers we have. But this constant need for validation from others can undermine our independence and make us reliant on the opinions of others. Problem with seeking external validation is that it places our self-worth outside of ourselves. We start to believe that we need the approval of others in order to feel good about ourselves. The truth is, this need for validation is fleeting and often beyond our control. People's opinions can change, and trying to win them over is a never-ending endeavor. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, reminds us that true contentment and happiness come from within. He said, "Do not seek for happiness outside yourself. It lies within you." Stoicism teaches us to focus on cultivating our inner virtues rather than seeking approval from others. When we constantly look to others for approval, we give away our power. We become vulnerable to shifting viewpoints and start to base our self-worth on their acceptance. This can lead to a never-ending quest for approval, making it difficult to find inner peace and fulfillment. Stoicism encourages us to develop self-acceptance and self-awareness. When pursuing approval, be aware of your feelings and thoughts. Consider whether it genuinely fits with your values and objectives, and ask yourself why you require acceptance from others. Remember, your activities and character establish your value rather than the views of others. One of the most important lessons of Stoicism is that we should not rely on external factors for our happiness and self-worth. Instead, we should focus on developing our inner virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and self-control. These virtues are independent of other people's acceptance or opinions. They are traits we are able to develop and strengthen within ourselves, independent of the environment around us. By focusing on these inner virtues, we can build a strong sense of self-worth that is not easily shaken by the opinions of others. We can learn to evaluate ourselves based on our actions and character rather than the approval of others. This allows us to gain confidence in our ability to assess and make decisions for ourselves, without being swayed by external influence. Another key aspect of overcoming the need for external validation is surrounding yourself with people who value and support your growth. Instead of surrounding yourself with people who constantly criticize or make you feel self-conscious, seek out those who genuinely care about you and want to see you succeed. It's also important to remember that seeking validation from others is often a sign of insecurity. When we are unsure of ourselves, we look to others for reassurance. But this is a trap because it keeps us dependent on the opinions of others. Instead, we should focus on building our self-confidence and self-assurance. Marcus Aurelius encourages us to seek input from people we trust and who genuinely care about us, but to remember that our worth should not be defined by their opinions. This means that while it's okay to seek advice or feedback from others, we should not base our self-worth on their approval. By developing self-awareness and a community of support, you can improve your use of Stoic philosophy and live a more morally satisfying life. You can learn to appreciate yourself for who you are, rather than relying on the opinions of others to validate your worth. So the next time you find yourself seeking external validation, take a moment to reflect on why you need it. Ask yourself if it aligns with your values and if it's truly necessary. And remember that your happiness and self-worth come from within, not from the approval of others. By focusing on your inner virtues and building a strong sense of self-worth, you can break free from the cycle of seeking external validation and live a more fulfilling life. The sixth habit is inability to cope with negative emotions. Negative emotions like anger, anxiety, or jealousy are natural parts of life. But when we let these emotions control us, they can lead to irrational behavior and poor decision-making. They can cloud our judgment, causing us to act impulsively or say things we later regret. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, believed that we have the power to control our emotion. He said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Stoicism teaches us to develop emotional control, using rationality to face difficult situations and seeking inner peace. When we give in to negative emotions, we often end up making decisions that are not in our best interest. For example, when we're angry, we might say something hurtful to someone we care about, damaging our relationship. When we're anxious, we might avoid taking action on something important, missing out on opportunities. And when we're jealous, we might become resentful and bitter, damaging our own well-being. But Stoicism teaches us that we are not at the mercy of our emotions. We have the power to choose how we react to situations. This doesn't mean suppressing or ignoring our emotions. It means acknowledging them, understanding them, and then choosing to respond in a way that is aligned with our values and goals. One of the key principles of Stoicism is the idea of apatheia, which is often misunderstood as emotional detachment. But in reality, it's about developing emotional resilience and maintaining inner peace in the face of adversity. It's not about rejecting or repressing feelings, but about approaching them with a calm and rational mind. Stoicism teaches us to view emotions as impressions that result from our assessment of the outside world. We are in control of our assessments, and therefore, we are in control of our emotions. By engaging in mindfulness and self-awareness practices, we can scrutinize our thoughts and assessments, confront thoughts that elicit negative emotions, and cultivate thoughts that align with logic and morality. So, how can we improve our Stoic practice and break the pattern of giving in to bad emotions? One way is to develop mindfulness through mindfulness practices, which help us become more conscious of our feelings as they come up. By practicing mindfulness, we may watch our thoughts and feelings without becoming consumed by them. This consciousness gives us the chance to stop and select a more deliberate reaction rather than acting on impulse. Another way to cope with negative emotions is to question your assessments. Examine the underlying assessments that are causing unpleasant emotions to surface when they do. Are your conclusions based on a fair analysis of the circumstances, or are they skewed by prejudice or unfounded beliefs? Restructuring and challenging these assessments can assist in altering your viewpoint and lowering the severity of unfavorable feelings. It's also important to make self-reflection a regular habit. Consider your ideas, deeds, and the results of them. Recognize the patterns that keep coming up and see what other responses you can have. By reflecting on yourself, you can find areas where you could improve and create practical techniques for handling your emotions. Finally, choose virtue above retaliation. When you're feeling bitter or angry, remind yourself of the Stoic ideal of putting morality above vengeance or fostering animosity. When acting out of negative emotions, think about the long-term effects and make an effort to respond in a way that is forgiving, compassionate, and kind. By regularly putting these techniques into practice, we can improve our Stoic practice and lessen our tendency to give in to negative emotion. It's critical to keep in mind that this procedure requires patience and work. Even if we make mistakes along the road, every setback offers a chance for development and education. Embrace the Stoic values of self-awareness and tenacity as you work toward a more moral and fulfilling existence. In conclusion, practice of Stoicism is undermined when we let our negative emotions control our behavior. Instead, we should cultivate awareness, examine our judgments, engage in self-reflection, choose virtue over vengeance, and embrace peace. Negative emotions can be gradually lessened in our life by doing this. We can live more morally upright and satisfying lives by harmonizing with Stoicism's principles of rationalism, resilience, and inner peace. The seventh habit is dwelling on past mistakes. We've all made mistakes in the past. Choices we regret, actions we wish we could take back. But when we dwell on these mistakes, replaying them over and over in our minds, we trap ourselves in a cycle of guilt, regret, and self-blame. This can prevent us from moving forward, from making positive changes, and from truly appreciating the present. Stoicism teaches us to accept the past for what it is, something that cannot be changed. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, said, "Do not let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present." This quote highlights the importance of focusing on the present moment rather than dwelling on past mistakes. When we dwell on past mistakes, we give in to the negative thoughts and emotions that consume us, causing unnecessary anguish. We relive the pain of those mistakes over and over again, even though they are no longer happening in the present. This not only hinders our ability to make positive changes, but also impairs our capacity to discover serenity and contentment. But Stoicism teaches us that we have a choice in how we respond to our past. We can either choose to let it define us, to let it hold us back. We can choose to learn from it, grow from it, to move forward with a sense of purpose and resolve. By accepting the deeds and results of the past, owning up to them, and concentrating on what we can do right now to better our situation and ourselves, we can break free from the bonds of regret. Forgiveness and compassion are key to breaking this habit. We are fallible human beings, and mistakes happen. Furthermore, making errors is a necessary component of learning and development. Rather than blaming ourselves for previous transgressions, we should work towards self-acceptance and understanding. It can be beneficial to stop viewing mistakes as failures and instead see them as opportunities for growth. Every error presents a chance for development and advancement. Adopting this perspective allows us to put the past behind us and concentrate on the here and now. Mindfulness is another effective method for breaking the habit of thinking back on past errors. By bringing our attention to the present, mindfulness entails focusing on it without passing judgment. Mindfulness gives us the ability to escape the loop of regret and give our whole attention to the present moment. Moreover, cultivating an attitude of thankfulness can be highly beneficial in diverting our focus from previous errors. We can change our perspective and foster a sense of fulfillment by developing a practice of thankfulness for the present, as well as the lessons learned from the past. It takes deliberate effort and a dedication to putting the tenets of Stoic philosophy into practice to overcome the tendency of brooding over past transgressions. It's critical to keep in mind that we have a choice in how we respond to our history, and lingering on regrets will only prevent us from leading happy, moral lives. By accepting self-compassion, engaging in mindfulness exercises, and cultivating an attitude of gratitude, we can break free from this habit and develop a more stoic outlook. We have the ability to grow as people, learn from our mistakes, and focus our energies on pursuing virtue and living in the now. To live a more purposeful and moral life, endeavor to break free from the bonds of regret about the past and adopt the Stoic philosophy's precepts. Remember, the past is behind you, and the present is where you have the power to make positive changes. Let go of the past, embrace the present, and move forward with a sense of purpose and resolve. The last habit is ignoring the well-being of others. In a world that often emphasizes individualism and self-interest, it's easy to become focused solely on our own needs and desires. We may become so caught up in our own pursuits that we forget about the well-being of others. But Stoicism teaches us that we are all part of a larger human community, and our actions have an impact on those around us. The concept of cosmopolitanism in Stoic philosophy highlights the idea that everyone is a member of the human community at large, and that we should all be concerned about each other's well-being. Ignoring other people's needs and suffering can erode our moral virtue and empathy, which impedes the development of ethical traits. Stoicism encourages us to develop virtues like wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation, as well as to live in harmony with the natural world. One of the core qualities emphasized by Stoic philosophy is the virtue of benevolence or kindness toward others. When we disregard the well-being of others, we not only violate this principle of benevolence, but also risk becoming estranged from one another. When we don't care about the well-being of others, we lose empathy for their problems, needs, and suffering. This indifference can take many different forms, such as a lack of empathy for the suffering of the less fortunate, or a disregard for other people's well-being, while failing to offer support or assistance. We lose out on the chance to put empathy and compassion into practice, which are essential for the formation of moral character. Stoic philosophy teaches us that by acknowledging the interdependence of all people, we should see each individual as deserving of respect, consideration, and empathy. We can cultivate empathy and take actions that advance other people's well-being. When we neglect the well-being of others, we also miss out on the benefits of doing acts of kindness and generosity. Research indicates that acts of kindness have a favorable effect on the giver's well-being in addition to the recipient. When we actively look out for the welfare of other people, we can feel content, purposeful, and connected. In addition, when we disregard the well-being of others, we perpetuate the egocentric perspective that impedes our own growth. According to Stoic philosophy, leading a moral life and acting in a way that upholds morality and reason will bring us true happiness and contentment. By disregarding other people's well-being, we become prisoners of our own selfishness and self-interest. When we lose sight of this essential reality, we miss out on the deeper sense of fulfillment that comes from connecting with others and contributing to the greater good. To break out from this pattern and fortify our Stoic philosophy practice, we must cultivate empathy and kindness for others. This can be achieved by adopting the virtue of benevolence and actively learning about the viewpoints and experiences of others through acts of kindness. In addition to upholding the Stoic philosophy we practice, we also help to bring about a compassionate and peaceful world. By encouraging people's well-being and a sense of community, we become agents of positive change. Stoicism teaches us that true happiness comes not from pursuing our own selfish desires, but from living in harmony with others and contributing to the greater good. By caring for others, we not only strengthen our own character, but also help create a more ethical and compassionate society. So the next time you find yourself focused solely on your own needs, take a moment to consider the well-being of those around you. How can you help? What can you do to make a positive impact on someone else's life? By cultivating empathy, practicing kindness, and contributing to the greater good, you can live a more fulfilling and meaningful life. Conclusion. Stoicism is not just a philosophy, it's a way of life. It teaches us how to face challenges, control our emotions, and live a life of meaning. The wisdom of Stoicism has guided countless individuals through the trials of life, helping them find strength, resilience, and inner peace. As we've explored today, there are 8 common habits that can silently weaken our resolve and hold us back from reaching our full potential. These habits, procrastination, negative self-talk, avoiding challenges, pursuing excessive materialism, seeking external validation, inability to cope with negative emotions, dwelling on past mistakes, and ignoring the well-being of others, can all be transformed by applying Stoic principles. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, nurture our inner virtues, and face life's challenges with courage and patience. It encourages us to find happiness in the present moment, to relinquish the need for external approval and material possessions, and to step out of our comfort zone. By embracing Stoic philosophy, we can learn from the past without being bound by regret, and we can build a life of strength, wisdom, and lasting happiness. Let great philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus guide you on your journey to discover inner strength and build a life of resilience and happiness. By starting to make small changes today, you can begin to transform your life, one step at a time. Remember, the journey of self-improvement is not always easy, but it is always worth it. With each step you take, you become closer to becoming the best version of yourself. So take that first step today. Whether it's overcoming procrastination, replacing negative self-talk with positive affirmations, or reaching out to someone in need. The journey is yours, and the destination is within reach. Seize today and transform your life with the timeless wisdom of Stoicism. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it helpful, please share it with others who may benefit from it. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to stay connected and continue learning with us. Together, we can build a life of strength, resilience, and true happiness.